Thank you, everyone. Already joined us on the Zoom meeting, and the same times we have live streaming on Facebook. We are going for having opening ceremony and two keynotes. Our pre-session before on the afternoon, already one session about a workshop for. Journal management. Our colleague, Dr. Rosdalina Bukido, is lectures in IAIN Manado, presented about how to manage, how to run for a journal. And this session will be opening ceremony, and the same times we will have the two keynotes. We will have our colleague, one from Brazil and one from Turkey. And we are waiting our chairman from STAI DDI Kota Makassar, the Makassar city, will join us when he is on the Zoom meeting. We will start. Um, we are fortunately have our colleague from Brazil, because we have different 13 hours difference between them. And tonight we are lucky from Antonio Jose Baloni already with us. Prof. Onder and Prof. Basic and Prof. Paulo, our colleagues already joining with us. And then our rundown for tonight, we will have our sessions. Thank you, everyone, joining us. We will start soon. Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable the Chairman of Sekolah Tinggi Agama Islam DDI Kota Makassar, Honorable Director of IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, and two keynotes, our colleague from Necmettin Erbakan University of Turkey and Campinas University of Brazil. We are lucky tonight that we already have our friends around the world coming together for sharing sessions. And before we are going to have our two keynotes, let us start for those who are Muslim by reciting Holy Quran. And the Holy Quran times is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu wadhkuru ni'matallahi 'alaikum id kuntum a'da fa'alafa baina qulubikum fa'asbahtum bi ni'matihi ikhwana wa kuntum ala syafa hufratin minan nari fa'anqadhakum minha kadzalika yubayyinullahu lakum ayatihi la'allakum tahtadun. Shadaqallahul azim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the reciting Holy Quran. Hopefully by the reciting, we will have the good start of our conference. The next one, we will have Indonesia Raya, the national anthem of Indonesia. That's the national anthem of Indonesia is Indonesia Raya. The next one, we will listen to Mars DDI, Darul Dakwah Wal Irsyad.
Islam
Thank you to the organizing committee already helped us to have the two songs. The first song is the national anthem of Indonesia is Indonesia Raya, and the second one is Mars DDI. The first welcome speech, we would like to invite our chairman from STAI DDI Kota Makassar. Kita mengundang dengan hormat, kami mohonkan kesediaan Bapak Ketua STAI DDI Kota Makassar, kami sapa dengan takzim Bapak Ketua. Waktu dan kesempatan kami mohonkan.
Sudah mulai. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahilladzi 'allama bil qalam 'allamal insana ma lam ya'lam. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin manba'il ilmi wal hikam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ulil himam. Amma ba'd, faqad qala Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fil Qur'anil Karim wa huwa asdaqul qailin. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Yarfa'illahu alladzina amanu minkum walladzina utul ilma darajat. Sadaqallahul azim. Yang terhormat Bapak Rektor IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, yang kami hormati Bapak-bapak para narasumber dari berbagai negara, para partisipan dari kalangan dosen dan mahasiswa yang akan mempresentasikan tulisannya nanti, yang sama-sama kami hormati. Kembali kita memanjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, bersalawat kepada Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam atas terselenggaranya kegiatan konferensi internasional ini adalah merupakan salah satu langkah maju, salah satu hal terbaik di dalam usaha bagaimana menapaki kemajuan dari kedua belah pihak antara IAIN Gorontalo dan Sekolah Tinggi Agama Islam Darud Dakwah wal Irsyad. Oleh karena itu, atas terselenggaranya kegiatan ini, kami dari Agama Islam Darud Dakwah wal Irsyad Kota Makassar menyambut baik dan menyampaikan ucapan terima kasih yang tak terhingga, karena hal yang seperti ini menunjukkan bahwa kita semua ingin maju, karena memang ciri untuk bisa sukses, apakah itu orang per orang maupun institusi atau lembaga, salah satu di antaranya adalah nantiasa harus melakukan adaptasi terhadap situasi dan kondisi yang berkembang. Akan halnya dengan dunia pendidikan, dunia akademik, dunia perguruan tinggi, senantiasa harus melakukan adaptasi terhadap situasi dan perkembangan yang ada. Nah, untuk kegiatan ini adalah menunjukkan bahwa salah satu hal yang bisa membawa kita bisa beradaptasi dengan perkembangan adalah dengan melakukan pertemuan-pertemuan seperti ini, baik sifatnya lokal, nasional, regional, maupun yang sifatnya internasional. Karena betapapun semua ini adalah merupakan salah satu usaha pembelajaran, dan salah satu ciri manusia sukses ataukah akademisi yang ingin sukses adalah senantiasa harus belajar dan terus belajar. Ya, kalau Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam memberikan petunjuk, utlubul ilma minal mahdi ilal lahdi, mulai dari ayunan sampai ke liang lahat, sampai seumur hidup harus kita senantiasa belajar. Kenapa? Karena ini perlu dicermati, apalagi sekarang dengan perkembangan yang ada sekarang, bahwa dunia pendidikan semakin maju. Ya, undang-undang tentang kependidikan khususnya di negara Republik Indonesia ini telah berkembang dengan sistem-sistem yang baru. Sistem kredit semester ditempuh dengan segala kerumitannya, lalu kemudian dengan berbagai peraturan yang menyertainya. Nah, yang perlu kita kembali pertanyakan sekarang ini, apakah dari segi inti dan hakikat pendidikan bisa tercapai dengan sistem-sistem yang seperti ini? Ini perlu kita cermati, karena inti dari pendidikan itu sebenarnya apa? Dan kembali harus bertanya, apanyakah manusia itu yang dididik? Administrasinya kah, pelaporannya kah, ataukah sesuatu yang lain yang merupakan inti dari pendidikan itu sendiri? Nah, inilah yang barangkali perlu juga merupakan salah satu kajian bagi kita, bahwa adaptasi yang kita akan lakukan seminar, konferensi pertemuan dari berbagai jenjang adalah dalam rangka kita melakukan adaptasi dengan situasi dan perkembangan yang ada. Oleh karena itu, kami berharap semoga pertemuan internasional ini akan membawa manfaat baik bagi pesertanya, kepada para narasumbernya, demikian pula kepada para pelaksana, terutama di dalam meningkatkan status daripada institusi kelembagaan dari kedua belah pihak. Akhirnya kembali kami menyampaikan terima kasih atas pertemuan konferensi internasional ini, dengan harapan semoga membuahkan hasil yang seperti yang kita harapkan di dalam rangka kemajuan dari baik secara institusi maupun orang per orang yang terlibat di dalam konferensi ini. Lebih dan kurangnya saya mohon dimaafkan. Minallahil musta'an wa alaihi tiklan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mohon perkenan Bapak Ketua STAI DDI Kota Makassar juga membuka pelaksanaan konferensi kita yang akan berlangsung mulai pada hari ini 23 Oktober sampai insya Allah 25 Oktober. Mohon kesediaan Puang.
Dengan mengucap Bismillahirrahmanirrahim sesuai dengan permintaan, maka saya atas nama Ketua Sekolah Tinggi Agama Islam Darud Da'wah wal Irsyad Kota Makassar menyatakan membuka konferensi internasional ini yang akan berlangsung dari hari ini sampai tanggal 25 yang akan datang dengan ucapan Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa syukrillah. Bapak Ketua STAI DDI Kota Makassar telah membuka acara kita. Selanjutnya kami mohonkan juga sambutan dari Bapak Rektor IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo sebagai catatan Bapak Ibu sekalian pelaksanaan International Conference on Social and Humanities Approach to Islamic Studies yang kita laksanakan selama 3 hari berturut-turut ini merupakan kerjasama antara STAI DDI Kota Makassar dengan IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo. Waktu dan kesempatan kami mohonkan kepada Bapak Rektor IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo.
Baik, makasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Yang sama-sama kita hormati, banggakan Andre Guruta, Bapak Kiai Haji Alwi Nawawi. Sehat-sehat Ki Puang. Yang saya hormati Bapak Ibu pimpinan atau Sivitas Akademika STAI DDI Makassar dan Bapak Ibu pimpinan Sivitas Akademika IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo yang sempat hadir. Alhamdulillah, bersyukurlah pada kesempatan hari kita sempat bertemu serangkaian dengan kegiatan International Conference. Ladies and gentlemen and virtual viewers, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan. This heard Keynotes speaker and speakers. Welcome to the STAI Institute for Islamic Study, IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo. Welcome Professor Dr. Antonio J. Baloni and Professor Dr. Onder Kutlu. Our meeting in this international conference of social and humanities approach to Islamic study is in the form of online, the virtual way. This conference is conducted based on cooperation between the State Institute of Islamic Study, IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, Indonesia, and the Islamic Institute of Darul Da'wah wal Irsyad, DDI of Makassar, Indonesia. We hope that we can meet directly, face-to-face in the future. We hope that you are able to come directly to the campus IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, Indonesia. On behalf of the state IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, I thank to the all speaker who will share their great knowledge and wisdom. I also to commit and all contributed parties who have provided this outstanding conference, especially during your busy schedule. Baik, Bapak Ibu peserta International Conference yang sempat hadir pada malam ini, dan terima kasih kepada Bapak Ibu peserta yang sudah memasukkan jurnal, memasukkan artikel untuk disubmit di jurnal maupun di proceeding. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya. Dan sekedar informasi bahwa IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo mempunyai 11 jurnal, yang 5 diantaranya sudah terakreditasi dan 1 diantaranya sudah Sinta 2. Dan mudah-mudahan tahun ini atau tahun depan insya Allah kita bisa mengakreditasi dan bisa terindeks di Scopus yang bereputasi, mudah-mudahan ya. Dan saya selaku pimpinan berharap mudah-mudahan bisa menambah lagi jurnal yang ada di IAIN, tidak hanya 11 tapi sejumlah prodi yang ada di IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, yaitu 25 prodi. Ini adalah berkat kerjasama dari berbagai perguruan tinggi, teristimewa kepada STAI DDI, yang sudah, kalau tidak salah, sudah 2 kali kerjasama mengadakan konferensi seperti ini. Terima kasih Pak Andi Guruta telah mengajak kerjasama dalam hal pengembangan lembaga ini. Dan terima kasih kepada Pak Ismail Luke ini yang luar biasa, ya. Menjembatani bahkan mengajak mengadakan kerjasama dalam baik mengadakan semacam workshop maupun seminar untuk peningkatan kelembagaan, ya. Untuk sekedar informasi bahwa IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo, insya Allah mudah-mudahan waktu dekat ini bisa bertransformasi dari IAIN menjadi universitas. Didoakan Bapak Ibu peserta, mudah-mudahan waktu dekat ini karena sudah dalam proses di Seknek, insya Allah mudah-mudahan sudah ditandatangani oleh Bapak Presiden. Ini barangkali dari saya. Sekali lagi selamat bagi Bapak Ibu peserta yang sudah memasukkan artikelnya untuk disubmit, dan mudah-mudahan bisa masuk di jurnal, baik itu yang sudah terindeks terindeks Scopus maupun terakreditasi, supaya bisa meningkatkan Bapak Ibu dosen dalam hal peningkatan sumber dayanya, naik pangkat dan seterusnya. Saya kira demikian dari saya. Terima kasih. Finally, I warmly expect that this virtual conference will make a significant contribution to all of us. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak. Minallahil musta'an wa alaitikan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, the rector of IAIN Sultan Amai, and inshallah will be soon as the University Islamic University of Sultan Amai Gorontalo. We already opened our conference, namely International Conference on Social and Humanities Approach to Islamic Studies. And the first keynote speaker, we welcome our friend coming from Brazil. It is 13 hours difference between Makassar and Brazil. And this is the second event that we have together with our friend, our colleague, Professor Dr. Antonio Jose Balloni. Times is yours, sir.
Hi, Ismail, Professor Ismail. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Tarima Kashi, for your words. Tarima Kashi for Dr. Lahai Hadar for the opening section, and for the organizing committee from this event. So I will open my presentation, okay?
Okay, go ahead, Professor.
You tell me if it's okay, and when it's okay, I will start the recording.
Yeah, you can start right now, Professor.
Okay. Can you see?
Yes, Brazil of the 21st century.
Okay, that's am I not allowed to record?
Yeah, I already put you as the co-host, Professor. So feel free to record. You can record to your computer.
Okay, let me see. Stop recording. I am not allowed to record. Where
wait a moment.
Here, start recording.
Yeah, start recording.
No, but there is not. I do not have start recording. I have
can you
only
see in the bottom record?
Yes.
Yeah, there is a record over there, so you can choose record to your computer.
No, there is not this option.
Okay, so don't be
worried. The option I have here is only stop recording.
Okay.
So it means that someone is recording, but I am not recording yet.
No problem. So I will send you by the end to the Google Drive of the presentation, and then you can download from the Google Drive.
Oh gosh, okay. Let me see. So here, where is the here? Okay. Okay, can you see? Hello, hello.
Okay.
The slide is open.
Yeah.
It is working.
Working.
Yes.
Okay, good. So thank you for the invitation to be here in this international conference on social and humanity approach to Islamic studies. Yeah, and this presentation should have about 40 minutes maximum, and 20 minutes, 15 minutes for a question and answer. Okay. The title of the presentation is Brazil of the 21st Century, Strategizing with Socio-Technical Management Approach. Okay. The authors from this presentation, myself, Antonio Balloni. I am a research collaborator from the Center for Industry and Technology Economics at the University of Campinas. And Paulo Rezende is a professional from FINEP. FINEP is Funding Agency for Studies and Projects, is a Brazilian federal agency, and belongs to the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation. And Professor Miguel Basic is a titular professor from the Institute of Economics and also from the Center for Industrial Economic and Technology. Okay. Okay. Well, I will do for an overview for how to understand what what this presentation aims for. Okay. So this paper aims to project Brazil as a relevant player in the complex interplay of the world powers, in a context where the world geopolitics presents complex interactions that depend on assertive Brazilian decision-making. So based on socio-technical perspective model, which is a model of participative management, this paper presents a proposal on how political thinking may emancipate itself and being able to formulate a long-term view for the nation's future. Well, within this perspective and given the socio-technical approach, we show how to promote innovation in the public-private managers' thinking, presently consolidating short, medium-term vision. In this paper, we propose means for reestablishing long horizon of time, which are adequate for future discussion. In short, okay, we present a proposal on two converging issues: the harmonic conjunction of the ascension of Brazil of the future and the mode of participatory socio-technical management, focusing in the 21st century. In this participatory mode of socio-technical management, it is proposed as a tool of change, the sharing of information and implementation of a shared vision of the future. This sharing information and vision must be incorporated by all Brazilian educational system levels, and is this societal decision-making as a fundamental strategy principles for a sustainable Brazil to the Brazilian citizen. Okay, so the consolidation of the socio-technical perspective can assist in the tremendous national challenges that may occur throughout the 21st century for Brazil, and perhaps for all countries adapted to different national realities. Okay. What we have here? Brazil as a world player. I not read this item for you. Okay, I explain. Brazil has consolidated itself as an emerging power within the complex world scenario. One of the most common characteristics of the most important nations in the world is their ability to forge the future through their perspective. Decades ago, Brazil already presented evidence of having such characteristics to construct the future by promoting investment in sectors considered relevant, such oil exploration, aerospace industry, steel and iron industry, investment in renewable fuel research, and others. This trend to construct the future, long-term planning, for economic reasons, has been gradually weakened. The country had the political thinkings fixed by an economic agenda based on decreasing its long-term economic planning. And as a result, Brazil lost its vision of a desired future. Brazil had, from the year 1964 to 1985, a total of 4 long-term economic plans, lasting from 5 or more years, and from 86 to 1995, at least 8 short and medium-term economic plans lasting from 2 years up to weeks. See, in this 8 and 2 here, we have it. I'm going to explain also. Well, so this presentation proposes a model to establish long-term goals by incorporating the political agenda of an approach that we call socio-technical management model, with the aspiration and visions of shared management between government and society. Okay. On this last slide, you have lack of future, an imminent conflict. Okay, I will explain also the item 1. The progressive loss of a future perspective conflicts with several fields of thinking and knowledge exploration. For example, competencies such as projection, prospection, studies of these tendencies are characteristic of the so-called knowledge society, and where individuals have a good judgment and have good choice. Item 2, I explain too. The absence of a desired future is an incompatible condition for any nation in the 21st century that wish to have supremacy and dominance of the future that it wish to build. The political thinkings with the capacity to formulate a long-term the participatory socio-technical management model represent the opportunity for emancipation of a political thinking with the capacity to formulate a long-term vision of the future. Okay, and the item 3. However, this model of socio-technical management system assumes that individuals have opportunities for choice and the ability to discern. So the question I do is, it must be how to make good choice without the perspective of a future. Okay, so the answer will be next. The management society. We have here the Toffler waves. Okay, the Toffler waves. The agricultural waves, the agricultural activity, first wave. The industrial activity, second wave, and subsequent advance in direction of knowledge economy, according to Toffler. This is the third wave. The third wave is the baseline for the creation of a knowledge society. Okay, so all 3 waves were primary conditions for building a long-term vision of the future. The intensification of the information flow, vast information repository, characteristic of the third waves, guide us, knowledge economy, towards constructing a long-term view of the future within the socio-technical management models approach. Okay. The next slide you have. Slide. Brazil's economic timeline. What you have here, 16th century, 18th century, 20th century. Okay. This figure shows how Brazil progressed from the primitive stage in 18th century to a strategic domain, 18th century, with a consistent geopolitical structure, internal economic activity, and bureaucracy. In the past 20th century, Brazil became an emerging industrial power, initially due to investment in late industrialization, iron and steel industry, Petrobras, roads and infrastructure, followed by investment in more strategic sectors such as aerospace research and the study of engineering, aiming the development of the nation. So this slide, next slide, you have sacrifice Brazil, a country of the future. So about this title, sacrifice Brazil, a country of the future. The saying, Brazil, a country of the future, emerged in the second half of 20th century, and from 1948 to up to 1948 to 85, Brazil experienced 9 economic plans. The most crucial, I will come to explain, is called the second PND, second National Development Plan, second PND, between among 74 to 79. I have to clarify, Brazil, a country of the future. I was 9-year-old, 8-year-old, and my father used to say, Brazil is a country of the future. And why, father? And then he explained to me, oh gosh, today I refuse to say to my son, Brazil is a country of the future. Brazil should be now, in my generation. This is as I see Brazil. So about the item 1, the sacrifice of Brazil, a country of the future, started in the 17th, when the Brazilian government was forced to face a world crisis, a terrible world crisis, deflagrated by oil crisis and international credit restriction. Then, the second National Development Plan was conceived, okay? Sorry, I lost here. So the second National Development Plan was conceived to replace and imports and eventually promote exports. This was a long-term modification in Brazil productive metrics, but planned in a moment of world crisis. So this second PND, it's important to mention, was conceived under a health developmental thinking with nationalist content, aiming to create an autonomous and developed strategy basis for Brazil. What you have the next slide. PND2, National Development Plan 2, an unsuccessful plan. Well, despite all virtue of the second National Development Plan, the determined emancipatory strategy was not enough to promote the development in face of a recessive global scenario. The succeeding plan, the third National Development Plan from 1979 to 1985, was jeopardized by aggravation of national macroeconomic issues and Brazil's inability to pay its enormous external indebtedness. Okay, so after the third PND explained here, up to 1995, the year 1995, Brazil had at least 8 short-term economic plans, all of which were considered unsuccessful. However, despite of the unsuccessful or flaws in the economic plans, there is no evidence of population participation in elaborating these plans. But yes, there was reactive participation of the population after the implementation of this plan. So the next slide, the next slide is the crescent time horizon in Brazil economic plan. What happened after the failure of the third PNG, National Development Plan 3, between 79 and 85? What we can see, what happened was this. We went from quinquennial, biennial, annual, and monthly, up to weeks strategic economic plans, okay? So this figure shows the gradual reduction of the government plan going from long-term quinquennial to monthly planning, okay? A huge difference. Brazil was unable to continue the impulse or momentum of economic and social development. The nation falls in a macroeconomic crisis scenario. Now, no growth in production and consumption, unemployment, price instability, inflationary uncontrolled, and a negative trade balance. It is clear that up to the second National Development Plan, 74 to 79 the year, and especially in this one, the Brazilian project of a developed nation had been guided for a long-term view perspective. That's good. After PNG 2 and PNG 3, the quinquennial plan was subdivided by plans intended to implement biannual, annual, followed by up to months targets. Due to the threat of hyperinflation, even the monthly period was considered too long. Who lives in that period knows what I'm saying about. Terrible. It was created the instrument trigger raised, not time related, conditioning the variation of inflation independent of the chronological period. Automatic salary rate readjustment under the accumulated inflation of 6 to 10 days. See? So the interruption of these automatic aging increases started as the so-called Plano Real Plan in 1944, which was another cycle of microeconomic stabilization, distribution or allocation of resources, with the institution of the so-called multi-year plan, Plano Plurianual, PPP, multi-year plan. Today, Brazil needs to create new investment cycles, conceptions of long-term strategy that is capable of forging its own and desired. Today, Brazil needs to create new investment cycle and conceptions of long-term strategy. That is, I mean, Brazil must be capable to forging, to construct its own and desired future. Okay. This slide 10 is socio-technical system and socio-technical management. Okay, I will read this slide for you. A socio-technical approach assures the compatibility of social system and technical system. Social system, we have here the adjective, okay, in a participative approach. Okay, so the fitting of the structural blocks, the green and blue blocks, the structural blocks, green and blue blocks, explicitly recognize the interdependence between its component. Okay, it is essential. This is an essential characteristic of participative mode of socio-technical management. This interdependence between green and blue. So this is the best condition for prosperity and maintenance is found when you have this equilibrium. And here, prosperity is associated with performance, and maintenance is associated with projection or realization over time. And this is not seen else than the trending of forming a future perspective that I mentioned how we would do that. Okay. This slide shows for us Brazil, the future, and Brazil's future. About the title, what is Brazil of future and absence of future? Okay, and Brazil of future and Brazil's future, absence of future and Brazil's future. Sorry, this means that even if Brazil today had the full condition to obtain recognition as a developed country or model for the conception of the future as established today will not allow this new condition, since the model of economic thinking has been, in the last year, based on short-term cycles. So we observed from the socio-technical perspective, this non-existence of long-term planning brings out a pertinent question. This question, okay? Is it possible for us to conceive a fair and participative society without choice and decision-making for the future being made? This is the question that should be answered next. The answer is socio-technical management approach. So answer the question, is it possible for us to conceive a fair and participatory society without choices and decision-making for the future being made? And the answer is here, okay? We believe the concept of socio-technical management must be disseminated among Brazilian citizens. Access to information is fundamental and strategic. Present itself as a critical resource on the optic of competitive advantage and participative strategic planning. Look, explaining. All nations are looking for new ways to gain a competitive advantage. For this competitive advantage to be sustainable, it is strategic to take into consideration the Brazilian citizen. You see the yellow hexagonal, you know, fitting. What it means is yellow hexagonal, okay? They act as a glue for the blue system, social, and the green system, technical. The blue system are the adjective. The yellow system are the subject, okay? Represented here, the subject represented here, by political and private managers in the role of business partner, okay, from Brazil. In other words, the socio-technical management approach, hexagonals, greens, yellow, and blue, guide us to think about the future planning as a collective, co-responsible way of building the future. Nation ecosystem, the participatory approach. Here I read for you. The concept of organization or nation ecosystem can be a beneficial management instrument for the sharing of information and the implementation of a shared vision of a future in a way that it allows the incorporation by all levels of Brazilian educational system and its societal decision-making, the critical principal strategy of a sustainable Brazil to the Brazilian citizen. Okay, well, the question, how to implement this nation ecosystem towards the participatory mode of socio-technical management, which is the tool for information sharing and implementation of a shared vision of the future. We are see this in the next slide, okay? What you have here, the six characteristics of the participatory nation ecosystem for a socio-technical management, okay? About this title, the six participatory, it is composed by adapting the 5 Toyota nervous system plus the 8 Targovsky strategies. Okay, here we have the 5. Here is the 8 Targovsky strategy. I read it one for you. The first one is open and lateral dissemination of know-how. What means? This means facilitating teamwork. Everyone is encouraged to share their know-how and expertise openly with others. The second one, freedom to voice contrary opinions. The organization, nation should also be open to criticism and contradiction, aim at the correct function of the model of socio-technical management. Everyone has to feel free to voice counter opinion, even to top management and headquarters. Frequent face-to-face interaction. Here means that any manager to reach senior position must get and embrace the skill of listening carefully and attentively with attention to what employees have to say, and continually questioning and probing to find a better way. And the fourth, make it test management, testing knowledge explicit. This is socio-technical management. What means? Task management that is in your head is converted to explicit knowledge every time you verbalize or write down this, okay? Simple. The 5-1 is formal and informal organizational support mechanism. This means that to contribute to the effective functioning of the national ecosystem. And finally, you have this 5 is from the Toyota nervous system adaptation, and we have the 8 key principle strategy from Sustainable Brazil. This should lead, this 8 key principle should lead to a developing, to the development of a sustainable and wise nation ecosystem. Wise nation ecosystem. So I ask you to read the paper about this 8 key principle, okay, from Tarkovsky. Another closing issue to the participatory mode of socio-technical management comes from solidarity economy that you're going to show in the next slide. Oh, sorry. Solidarity economy. About the solidarity economy and the need for its ecosystem. What this title is about? This solidarity economy contributes to the participatory mode of socio-technical management towards the economic and social insertion of an immense mass of informal workers. So in the item 1, I will read it for you. The item 1, despite economical, financial advance, technical productive infrastructure, information, and communication technology, we still live the world, and Brazil in particular, with alarming levels of multidimensional poverty, increasing inequality, and incoming concentration by a large portion of the population that lacks essential services of education, health, food, and housing. Okay. About this, so we have a question here again. Okay, how to improve the population's living condition, allowing them to have access to a decent income due to their efforts. How to do that? Well, in Brazil, you should go beyond income transfer programs. In Brazil, for example, we have in Brazil Bolsa Família, created by President Lula. Bolsa Família is a cash transfer program for family support. Okay, very good. But in the solidarity economy offers an exciting, but additionally, the solidarity economy offers an exciting path for this population empowerment through collective actions and cooperation. Collective actions and cooperation. Therefore, in recent years, the solidarity economy has presented itself as an innovative alternative for the generation of work and income in their response to social and labor inclusion. So this is the answer. Oh, sorry. Okay, good. So the slide 16. Social and solidarity economy. Well, I will read for you about the social and solidarity economy. Social and solidarity economy is a concept that refers to enterprise and organization in particular cooperatives or mutual benefit societies, associations, foundations, and social enterprise, which specifically produce goods, service, and knowledge. So for everyone, while pursuing economic and social ends and fostering solidarity. Okay, so in Brazil and in many countries, the social and solidarity economy (SSE) has been present as an innovative alternative in generating work, in generating income, and a response in favor of social and labor inclusion. It can also be considered as a new, more humane and inclusive development model. This slide is about the solidarity ecosystem. So about, I will read it for you again. Solidarity ecosystems are created to support solidarity economy action. You have the ecosystem, and inside the solidarity economic action, several, as a way to contribute with economic and social insertion of an immense mass of informal workers. So informal workers. The formation of the ecosystem for solidarity economy, the formation of this ecosystem for solidarity economy is a fundamental tool for emancipation and strengthening of the enterprise. Okay, the elements of a solidarity system, solidarity ecosystem are these: knowledge, market access, public and support for solidarity economic startups, access to finance, instrument to support networks and mutual support, and development of research and qualification in the area. This slide 18. The question is it possible to think about this is the last slide, about if a future, even when we don't recognize it? And the answer is yes, it is possible. Okay, the construction of a future conceived, discussed, and shared is crucial for institutional political terms that lead Brazil to a condition compatible with its potential. It is essential to highlight some challenges for the Brazil of the 21st century, and perhaps for all countries adapted to the different national realities. These are consolidation of supranational economic blocks. What does this mean? One block to mention is the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Okay, it's 5. In spite of recent change in Brazilian foreign policy, with Brazil robust political compromise towards the United States, we believe Brazil must reformulate its vision of global positioning. Okay, another significant bloc is the Mercosur, which is composed by the countries of South America, in which Brazil belongs since 1991. In short, important decisions should be made regarding the establishment of new alliances based on agreement already established, or on creating new blocks. For example, new blocks with countries in Africa or in the East or somewhere. Okay. So the second item is the decision on long-term economic policy. What does this mean? During the period 2001-2019, Brazil started this period on neoliberalism, moves then towards a developmental view, and finally, in the last national election, Brazil returned to a liberal orientation. Okay, has returned. In our view, for the construction of a future, economic policy must be formulated to preserve the leading economic indicators, regardless of adherence to certain sinking line. And this preservation is a fundamental condition for attracting investment and implementing long-term economic policies. Okay. The next one is a more developed and more participative society. And okay, Brazil has a consistent problem of inequality. The recognition of the voice representing the different segments of the population is the first step towards consolidating a society ready for a participatory socio-technical vision. So the challenges include overcoming issues related to, can you see it in 8 and 3, to education, that is the PISA index, related to economic and welfare, that is the Human Development Index, and HDI, and related to income distribution, that is the Gini index. This is where you have to aim for as a goal. And the next item is a country open to the world. Okay. After 5 centuries, Brazil is not yet ready to interact with the world. The constitution of a national socio-technical system will allow the creation of interface with the other countries so that the decision making about the international cooperation can converge to a vision of a globalized Brazil. So the approximation of countries in the long term requires, for example, the widespread teaching of the respective language from this country, which is the base for communication with international politicians, entrepreneurs, and researchers. Historically, Brazil has been notable in foreign policy, but this trajectory needs to resonate at the domestic level with repercussions on education, politics, and even in the national financial system. And by last, the creation of solidarity ecosystem. This solidarity ecosystem aims to support the expansion of the solidarity economy, as already claimed, as a way to contribute with the economic and social insertion of an immense mass of informal workers. The final words. Final words is great, okay? It's last slide. Brazil in the 21st century urges the development of a participatory model of socio-technical management as presented in this work. There is also an urgent need to develop and promote innovation in the thinking of public and private managers, which currently this thinking is consolidating short and medium term. The development of an ecosystem to support solidarity economy ventures is critical in integrating a considerable population excluded from society and excluded from the market. One of the most significant challenges for the creation, maintenance, and strengthening of solidarity economy enterprise is the effective establishment of an entrepreneurial ecosystem for the social and solidarity economy. We understand that for the emancipation of the social and solidarity economy, an entrepreneurial ecosystem is a fundamental tool. Finally, and last, the following introspection are a must. I want to share with you this introspection. Well, will the world management from the 21st century associated with the global partnership allow the Brazilian nation to compete more effectively in this 21st century, or will Brazil be undermined by greater global competition in their home territory? The question is, indeed, is there such a thing as home territory? it is important to consider that Winston Churchill said, he said, we shape our buildings. After that, they shape us. See? Therefore, the Brazilian collaborative workspace and social environment of tomorrow are being shaped today. Are we allowed to work towards a good, another question, are we allowed to work towards a common good? Who is willing to take responsibility for the space shaped? How can we define many of the ethical and social dimensions that arise with connectivity, information, privacy, and market share within an ecosystem of an unfair shared leadership, an unfair information partnership, an unfair collaborative relationship, and an unfair global management towards the common good? So, action in the global 21st century, in the global 21st management, this action may dictate the Brazil's future. I mean, in this global management, is the question, is this global management ethical, effective, and generate a fair competitiveness towards a common good? This is the insights I leave in for you. Well, thank you, Teruma Kashi. Thank you very much for being here. Now come the questions and answer. My colleagues, the Professor Miguel Basique, professor from University of Campinas, and my colleague, the Professor Paulo Rezende from FINEP, are here to help you in question that you would like to do. Okay, so.
Thank you, Prof. Antonio Jose Balloni already present how the position of Brazil as the player of the world. One question from the audience in the streaming of Facebook. Would you like to share, Prof. Antonio, how the relation between economy and social and the football? Because we can see how the Brazilians, every corner of Brazil and every time of the people is related to the football, and the biggest club in the world, it is easy to namely Brazilian player over there. Time is yours, sir.
Yes, this is an interesting question. I will try to answer as I see it, and I ask permission for Paulo Rezende and Professor Miguel Basique to edit their comments too. Okay. Well, I think as follow. Brazilian is a national sport. Okay. If you play a sport and you are happy, if everything is according to the rules previously established, and you are happy playing, competing fairly, you have everything to also generate contamination in the political and social issues. These are integrated issues, okay? If you go on football to watch only to escape from the reality, I think, okay, no issue against that, but you should go to watch your team, the team of your match, your preferred team, but also think that you have a country that is prospering in social terms and economic terms. You cannot separate the good things, the pleasure from the social and economic concern from Brazil. This is, I would reply for you, and Professor Basique and colleague Paulo Rezende could add their opinions, please.
No, thank you, Balloni.
Professor, would you like to add some information?
Thank you very much. No, I have nothing to add. Balloni made a good explication about football and economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Basique, for positioning.
Well, thank you all. I want to add one thing that Brazilian football is used through the times as a tool to increase the politics popularity. And so we need to pay attention to that, because, in fact, since the 50s, on the last century, we noticed that when the Brazilian football is good, it can transport some effects to politics and to the national climate, the way the things occur in Brazil. And so if you see Pelé, for example, in the World Cups that he played, Pelé was a symbol used by Brazilian government to increase happiness, to keep the population calm through difficult times. And so it's very relevant to us to understand this, because for one side, Brazilian football is a way to increase happiness and to share some positive values through society. And by the other hand, it is a tool to make people stay calm through difficult times too.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Paulo. Thank you, Prof. Basiki, and thank you, Prof. Antonio. I would like to invite anyone in the Zoom meeting, if you like to raise a question to our colleague, three of colleagues from Brazil, sharing about the situations, about the social conditions in Brazil. So everyone is welcome to raise your hand, and you can open your mic about to raise the question to our to our colleague from Brazil. Anyone want to raise the questions? If there is no one, I would like to read one questions more from streaming on the Facebook. Prof. Antonio, there is a rising of Brazil economic, and it will be reflect how the social change in Brazil, namely industrial, namely the education's conditions. Would you like to share how the relations between the economic rising and the social change in Brazil recently? So times is yours, sir.
Okay, this is a question that may have several perspectives, but you said recently. Well, I don't know if I can separate recently from the abroad perspective, and then I will try to answer shortly and ask the help for the opinion from Professor Basiki and Rezende. Well, you cannot separate the social concerns with economic concern. You cannot separate. You cannot. You have to improve both at the same time. That is the core of socio-technical management approach. This is the core of the socio-technical definition. You have people, you have organizations, you have roles. You have to grow this together at once. And this paper has proposed the economic solidarity as one solution to grow. At the same time, to improve proud from the improvement of the social conditions, and at the same time, Brazilian increasing as economic power. If I understood your question very correctly, this would be my answer. So my colleagues, if you want to add to help, it's welcome.
I invite Prof. Paulo and Prof. Basiki, if you don't mind, to give any kind of comment from the latest questions.
Yes. Well, I think that it's very difficult to separate the social aspects, the technology, and the economy. We must understand them as a whole. that are interrelated and causing mutual effects. I don't know what my Maloney, do you want to think another thing, another?
No, just yes. It's okay. I'm glad you. In other words, you synthesize. You put in a short way the same thing I have. Okay, you cannot separate technology and economic improvement from social one. Okay, is that you told?
We were not able to separate this.
But yes, thank you. Yes, I agree. Yes. Okay, thank you. Paul?
Okay, Prof. Paulo, would you like to say something about the latest questions, how the rise of economic of Brazil and would be a possibility of social change or any kind of the relation on impartial between two conditions?
I think my colleague is told enough, and that's okay for me.
Okay. Thank you to
Your
Prof.
question
Paulo.
Your question is the perfect definition of socio-technical system. You have to go both at the same time. Otherwise, we are going to have disequilibrium. How to do that? That is, we have social concerns, technical concerns. You have subject, and you have adjective. It is technical and social concern, and you have the subject, the one that act with those subjective subject. This subject are the one that act on those adjective and transform it in real issue.
Thank you, Prof. Antonio. And would you like to let me now, in a short answer, how actually the football as the, I can say it, religion, quote unquote, in Brazil society, and how the society love this game?
Could you say, Basit, can go, please?
Yeah, yes. Prof. Basit, would you like to say something? Let me know about the Brazilian society love this game and could namely as the second religion maybe, and where the people from the children to the elder senior play this game.
Well, the first thing I see in Brazil that the football have not now the same strength to influence politics and society as it was in the 70s with the military dictatorship. Children and people love too much football. I think it's a social game. It's important in the sociability of Brazil. But now we have another games as basketball, as volley, that are also alternatives for people. But football is very important, but have a less strength that he had in the past. We have not a Pelé now.
Yes, that's true. Paul?
Okay. Only one thing, it's important to note that maybe the relation about between Brazil and football, it's something like the ancient Roman Empire relation between bread and circles. I think it's that. If you don't have the good news to tell to the people, if you don't have to. If you don't have a economic rise, if you don't have a good news about the world pandemic or something like else, you can focus on football, on circles to make people stay calm.
So I would say there is not in Brazil football as a religion. No. Some small sector may be, but in general, they are friendship about your position. Okay, maybe in the 70s it is used to be, but now, as mentioned by my colleagues, we have other sports: basketball, volleyball, which make fight combat. We have good ones. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Antonio, Prof. Basic, and Prof. Paulo for the kind sharing of us, the perspective of Brazilian, and we can say in the world right now as the Brazil as the key player of the world, not only for the football player, but the economic, and we can see how the Brazil is the rising economy of the country. I would like to thanks for the participation of Prof. Antonio, Prof. Basic, and Prof. Paulo for our opening and our keynote speech for today. I would like to invite the second keynotes for tonight. Yeah, we are here in Makassar already evening, and then our colleague from Turkey, from Konya City, where Rumi's home, will present of us the insight of Turkey. Time is yours, Professor Dr. Onder Kutlu, Necmettin Erbakan University.
Thank you very much, my friend Ismail Suardiveki. Thank you very much for inviting me to share my views with distinguished colleagues from Indonesia, from other parts of the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
As I said, I am delighted to address such rich variety of colleagues from different parts of the world. And I would like to thank and congratulate our colleagues from Brazil for the rather informative speech about a Brazilian approach to social and technical development.
Thank you.
And I would like to share my presentation now. Okay. Okay, I am going to talk about today contribution of city diplomacy to regional and global peace. My topic is dealing with some social and humanitarian approach to the field. Therefore, my speech deals with peace and security at local, regional, and global level. I have the questions to deal with throughout my speech, and I'm going to concentrate on what is city diplomacy, and is diplomacy something carried out only by states, state level politicians? Thirdly, what makes local governments, inhabitants, and local institutions want to become involved in peace building? Fourthly, what is their justification for doing so? Because local people, local inhabitants, local institutions, how do they deal with these issues? Because these issues, peace and security, are regarded generally by the problem and by the issue of local government, national governments and states. Do they have sufficient capacity to deal with peace? Are we talking about local governments, local inhabitant involvement in issues at home or in conflict areas far away, somewhere else? Because we are going through difficult times and periods throughout the world. When you look at Middle East, when you look at Asia, when you look at all parts of the world, there are very widespread human rights violations, widespread terror and killing of innocent people. Therefore, peace is a problem of today. Therefore, I'm going to concentrate. When you talk about peace building by local governments, I intend to use local governments as a kind of umbrella concept to collect, to reflect the views of local inhabitants, as well as universities, academic institutions, and civil society institutions in general. Because city diplomacy is a new term, but the phenomenon and the idea behind city diplomacy has been evident for a long period of time. Therefore, when you talk about city diplomacy, it refers to a rather wide area of social and humanitarian sciences and disciplines. Because local governments and local people feel responsible for dialogue and peace activities. Because hence, local governments, they have to be with local people and dealing with their needs of the local people. They have the responsibility for peace and dialogue activities at local government level, as well as regional, national, and international level. I argue in my presentation that local governments, they can play a very constructive role in peace building at international level through city diplomacy. Because local governments, they often feel consequences of the conflicts at close proximity. At the moment, we are hosting more than 5 million Syrian refugees in Turkey. Therefore, local government in municipality, metropolitan municipality in my hometown, Konya, has to provide shelter, food, and job for nearly 200,000 people, immigrants from Syria. So this is a problem of local governments as well as national governments. Local governments and institutions, they can work together with international actors for peace building and maintenance activities. When you talk about the peace building, especially the concept of city diplomacy, there are two organizations, mainly two organizations, to provide knowledge, to provide some support to local governments. One of them is United Cities and Local Governments, the institution, because especially the organization, the committee for development, cooperation, and city diplomacy deals with this concept and provide, as I said, knowledge and some knowledge sharing, know-how activities with involved actors at local level throughout the world, because United States UCLG is a part of United Nations initiative. Therefore, they disseminate the findings and the principles of this organization throughout the world. Secondly, it's the organization, the Council of belongs to the Council of Europe, the Congress of Local Authorities and Regions. So they have the issue, they adopted this mission to disseminate peace building activities at member countries as well as other parts of the world. When you look at moving on to the concept, it's the container concept, used in different ways by various actors. Municipal diplomacy, local government diplomacy, citizens diplomacy, city to city diplomacy, terms used previously. But at the moment, the city diplomacy is the concept defined by the actors in the field as well as involved partners of the initiative. As we all know, global forum used first, which refers to the link between globalization and local realities at the same time. Because as we all know, as we are all aware, globalization refers to a united globe, and then there are quite influential, there are quite effective criticism to deal with global issues and forgetting local realities. This localization refers to the local and globalization at the same time. Therefore, as I mentioned, a branch of UCLG, United Cities and Local Governments Initiative by United Nations, the Development Cooperation and City Diplomacy Committee definition, the tool of local governments and their associations in promoting social cohesion, conflict prevention, conflict resolution, and post-conflict reconstruction, with the aim of creating a stable environment in which the citizens can live together in peace, democracy, and prosperity. According to Institution of International Relations definition, the institutions and processes by which cities engage in relations with actors on an international political stage with the aim of representing themselves and their interests to one another. The institution highlights in this definition 6 dimensions in city diplomacy, which are quite informative, quite important dimensions: security, development, economy, culture, networks, and representation. And at the same time, because in one, for example, in one case, security might be more important than other, but these 6 concepts, they go hand in hand together to reflect, to provide conditions for a peaceful environment. When we move on to the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe definition, the activity whereby a municipal authority in a conflict area receives support from one or more municipal authorities outside of the area. So, what is city diplomacy? Local governments in conflict areas need a way to represent or present their cases at international level to attract the attention of the rest of the world. This is quite evident issue. Secondly, local governments who want to help need to know what it takes to be effective alongside other organizations. And thirdly, foreign local governments who do not go there need to know what global peace initiatives are and lobby international platforms. And fourthly, the international organizations, national governments, and peace agencies, as well as domestic organizations in conflict areas, need to know how to work with foreign local governments. Because local city diplomacy is a kind of platform, is a kind of a medium for fostering cooperation and collaboration activities with other local governments in different parts of the world. So moving on to the local governments and their inhabitants and the issue of peace together, local representatives of central governments cannot be deemed as local governments. This is by definition, this is the issue. Besides, local government is not the same as local communities. Local government is something more than local communities, representing the views of the local communities, because local communities, local people, they help in forming local policies in general. Of course, I am talking about democratic cities, democratic government systems. So, legitimate and accountable local layer of government, both elected politicians and the administrators that represents local community and provides services to this local community. It's the sub-state diplomacy. Therefore, peace building consists of all activities that keep the use of violence at bay and create conditions to help peaceful conflict resolution a more attractive option. As we all aware, our religion and Islam refers to peace. Therefore, importance of peace and importance of peace building is a kind of requirement that must for every person to establish a peaceful environment. Therefore, I'm talking about the negative peace, the concept of negative peace, which involves the absence of violation, as well as positive peace to concentrate on building conditions for peaceful resolution. Name the active and negative and positive aspects refers to active and passive peace building initiatives. So moving on to the aspects of city diplomacy, it is the relations between city diplomacy and state diplomacy are as follows. International, national, and domestic agendas blur together. Sometimes they intersect, they go inside one another. So when you are talking about local or domestic agendas, you might be talking about national or international agendas. So these things go hand in hand together to establish at international or national level activities. So the territorialization refers to local governments and other non-state actors disregard borders. International organizations increasingly work with local authorities, skipping on or bypassing national or regional level governments. There's a growing view that international organizations should engage with local actors on conflict management as well. When you look at development issues, economic, social, and cultural issues, you can see the involvement of international organizations at local level. But in conflict management, which is a reality throughout the world, there have to be some attentions to be paid by international organizations as well. Moving on to the European Charter of Local Self-Government, because initiatives by European Union are important. Article 10 states that local authorities shall be entitled under such conditions as may be provided for by the law to cooperate with their counterparts in the states. Additionally, recommendation to 3-4 of the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of Central Council of Europe invites the representatives of national government to support city diplomacy. So, national government should make it a matter of policy to support city diplomacy, as it can provide solutions, local solutions to national and international issues. So when you look at city diplomacy and global issues together, the term diplomacy in its classical meaning involves the representation of interest at international level. I have highlighted 2 examples of city diplomacy. One of them is Mayors for Peace is an organization to exercise city diplomacy. It's a kind of peace building promotion organization at international level. It was established as a new program to promote the solidarity of cities towards the global abolition of nuclear weapons. Member mayors lobby the international community with campaigns such as "Cities are not targets." Second example is from the United Nations, the Alliance of Civilization, which was initiated by Turkish Prime Minister, now our President Erdogan, and Spanish Prime Minister Zapatero, and United Nations adopted this initiative, Alliance of Civilization. It's a kind of United Nations body that sets out the support projects and the initiatives aimed at building bridges among a diverse community and diverse cultures and communities. So moving on to the peace building at home, peace initiatives at home, at national level, local governments can deal with issues of global interest, but also with the issues that are felt important by its own local community. This element of city diplomacy refers to promotion of social cohesion in the city. Mayors, local councillors, and officials are responsible for the establishment of free and just societies for their respective inhabitants, their citizens. So, local governments, peace building at home level, local governments can work on the prevention of conflict, developing a culture of peace, solidarity, and identification with global peace issues at home. Activities in this area might include peace campaigns and festivals, youth forums, peace education in schools. Moving on to the intervention by foreign local governments, city diplomacy as broad perspective, campaigns for global issues with no link to a particular conflict area, and working on social cohesion without any implication for international relations, and activities of foreign local governments might include lobbying, providing concrete projects, and dialogue activities. Turning on to the lobbying activity, lobby is any type of political engagement with a specific actual, potential, or past conflict. This fits a wide range of activities. Lobbying fits a wide range of activities, campaigns to alert the public to the plight of people in the area, lobbying to get the conflict on the agenda of international organizations or onto a court roll, expressions of solidarity and moral support, visits to the oppressed and imprisoned, human rights monitoring, and election monitoring. So these are the examples which can be highlighted by the token by lobbying activities. So lobbying occurs where the conflict area is so violent that a physical presence is not an option for local governments. Lobby type city diplomacy can set out to help officials such as mayors who are threatened. So they feel that councillors and mayors and local initiatives or people might be supported by outside lobbying activities. Of course, these activities should not be a second agenda, because sometimes some cities and some countries might encourage some organizations, maybe some terrorist organizations or some anti peace organizations with intention or without intention. Therefore, these are normally I mean, with the people, with the organizations, with sound and with just ideas in their minds. Lobby type city diplomacy amounts to early warning and conflict prevention when it takes place before the conflict becomes militarized. Moving on to the second type of activity, project, improving a municipal service or planning processes of a partner local government is a common aim. Therefore, supporting peace-minded local government leaders in a conflict area so that they can actually improve services is a way of strengthening their position. They often start with lobby activities, followed by expression of solidarity, which in turn lead to projects. The promotion of dialogue is mainstream throughout the entire program of activities. The final type of activity, dialogue activities, include all activities which aim to create or recreate trust or establish or re-establish non-violent ways of resolving conflicts, and eventually strengthen social cohesion in the conflict area. Therefore, mediation requires a certain authority which is accepted, which is approved by at least both parties. So we have a figure, we have a table to summarize a lobby type, project type, and dialogue activities, as well as foreign local governments can do in an international setting, or what can local governments can do in the conflict area. So these are the activities may differ at different levels. Lobby, for example, lobby type activities might be exercised by international setting, but project type activities might be limited, may not be possible to exercise in international setting. But in conflict areas, there are different types of, for example, sending municipal experts to civil affairs, for example, is a way of helping to promote peace at conflict areas. So this is the summary of the activities related to types and whether it is an international setting or in the conflict area. Because conflict area, the conditions of the conflict area is quite different from the non-violent, non-conflict areas as well. Okay, major issues in city diplomacy. There's a problem of legitimacy for governments in acting internationally, because a local government unit in France, for example, wants to do some activities in Thailand. They should have the legitimacy. They should have a kind of invitation or a partner in the host country to receive the help of the local government from elsewhere. Therefore, there is a problem of legitimacy. Legitimacy of local governments to act internationally is both disputed and defended. Someone says, especially in the issues related to human rights, there is no need for calling, there is no need for legitimacy, they might say. But some others, they say that this is a kind of internal issue of the nation, therefore outside intervention is always questioned by local and local as well as national levels. Okay. Secondly, preconditions for success is in conflict areas as follows. You need to have champions or local leadership to promote success in conflict management. Good leadership is a vital ingredient of city diplomacy. Secondly, mayors have to take the initiatives. Besides, the importance of partnership is quite evident. Therefore, local governments in city diplomacy need to enter into partnership with other organizations. The involvement of non-governmental peace organizations was a condition for the municipal actions to have impact, real and concrete impact. The topology of partnership and cooperation, local government-based twinning project, for example, for the purposes of promoting peace, mutual understanding between peoples or cultures, cultural dialogue. These linkages can help in post-conflict reconciliation processes. So partnership for mutual learning on LG, local government management, urban development, or on different thematic issues within the competences of all partners. These partnerships have practical learning between peers and municipal issues. And besides, partnership between local governments where the economic motivation and the motive, this includes business, trade, and investment, is the main driver. Partnership between local government to tackle and exchange on global issues such as climate change, human rights violations, etc. Partnership between local government with at least one from a low-income country and one from a high-income country, where addressing the developmental needs of the local low-income partners with the is the principal purpose of the partnership. I mean, these kind of projects to bring together one local government from low income, one from high income might provide a kind of learning between the countries. Both partners can learn from each other. This is the main issue. Partnerships between local government associations. This also needs to include one from low income, one from high income countries to share their experience, to exchange their views and experiences with one another. Therefore, I mean, the issue is quite delicate and questionable. The city diplomacy is quite fragile because local governments help their counterparts in actual, former, or potential war zones, and processes in war zones are evidently fragile. Violent conflicts are characterized by broken social contracts. Local governments in conflict areas need the trust of their citizens to play this role, because without the support of local communities, local governments cannot do a considerable success. They cannot even go and help in building peace elsewhere. They can create trust through good performance, typically by delivering services in a peace-sensitive way. They can also establish trust by handling issues of representation adeptly. Therefore, there may be through local elections or through participatory approaches, mentioned our colleague from Brazil, Professor Balloni, or by linking with traditional forms of representation. So, peace impact or conflict impact. You need to decide, or you need to make sure that city diplomacy leads to peace rather than breaking the ties or breaking the ties, uniting the members of communities and social contracts. So why do such things happen? Sometimes when projects are designed, there may be little attention paid to fairness, even handedness and transparency. There may be little attention to the things that make people respect social contracts. While projects are being executed, carried out, the lines of communication with groups in the conflict zone and their leaders may be weakened, may be broken. Therefore, city diplomacy takes time. Besides, technical assistance by municipal experts can boost performance legitimacy. Lobbying can keep local governments in the conflict area on the right track and support peace-minded forces. Success doesn't come automatically. Therefore, foreign local governments are constantly reminded of the fragility. First, they are often only called upon to the things they are complementary to the efforts of others. Secondly, foreign local governments need to stay engaged at the political level, even if they represent their activities as technical projects, technical issues. Thirdly, foreign local governments, for not always carefully analyzing that the peace impact and the conflict impact of their activities are. So, capacity for city diplomacy. Local governments in conflict areas or in situations of tensions between groups are regularly involved in city diplomacy in the sense of working on social cohesion, in a world in which states are no longer the exclusive international actors. International work has become the norm at the moment. So, are foreign local governments equipped to go out and help their counterparts? This depends on their capacity, this depends on their experience, this depends on the environment and the atmosphere which surrounds the conflict area. So, local governments possess unique knowledge of a combination of technical and political processes, social processes together, and that peace building and reconstruction are well served by their involvement. The capacity for city diplomacy actors, whether they are peacekeeping forces, peace NGOs, transnational administrations, and development agencies, invite local governments to join their activities and efforts. Local governments should join the actors to be effective to counter the very real threat of lack of knowledge of the conflict area. The quality of city diplomacy depends heavily on the quality of partners. The real question is, what prevents us from taking up the opportunities to contribute to peace, world peace? Therefore, they might hire some new staff, they might invest some money, they might share their experiences with other parts of the world. So, moving on to the preconditions for successful peace building by local governments or local initiative, local inhabitants, foreign local governments must know the conflict area and the politics within its sufficiently well. Without knowing, without any kind of pre-knowledge to go there, it's a kind of establishing conflict by themselves. There needs to be local leaders who are willing to bridge divides. local collaboration and cooperation. The violence needs to be brought under some level of control. If you go to a war zone, you cannot do anything about helping, because its war conditions are quite different, and a sufficient number of people involved must want to be seen to a kind of players according to the rules. And other parts of the Syria and other parts of the universe, there are widespread violations of human rights. There are quite, delicate balances at their communities, because people, at local level, they want to have a peaceful life in their territories. Therefore, universities and the academia might help for example, by academic articles, to raise awareness among the communities in the West, East, North, and South. Doesn't matter. Therefore, providing articles, for example, is a kind of contribution, besides providing some kind of civil activities, because as I myself have some roles in the local civil, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and we deal with the problem, with the conflict in Palestine, with the conflict in Yemen, in Syria, and other parts of the world, in Arakan, for example. Therefore, I strongly encourage my colleagues, especially young colleagues, my friends, to take active part in civil initiatives, because this is not alternative to our academic activities. We can conduct our academic responsibilities. There's no question about it, and we have to conduct our academic activities. But at the same time, we, as academics, as the students of the field, as the members of this academic community, we have to be volunteers to support peace, security, and the well-being of human beings. So, I think this is my view about the question.
Thank you, Prof. Onder. One question more, if you don't mind, from Bersama Institute. Would you like to open your microphone? Yeah, go ahead, Samsul. He is a senior lecturer in the Islamic University, State Islamic University of Alauddin, Makassar. Time is yours, Samsul.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suardi, and what a great presentation, Prof. Onder. I have two questions about your presentation. The first one about how do you see the effectiveness of the city diplomacy or local government diplomacy related to the international conflict, such as the Turkish conflict with the Armenian? In this case in Turkey itself. The second one, when you are explaining about the city diplomacy, who's actually the actor? Is it only the government, or also include the local NGO in that particular area? Thank you so much, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Would you like to respond, Prof. Onder, from Samsul questions?
Okay, thank you. With pleasure. Thank you very much for these two questions to my colleague, from the Bersama Institute. Related to the positioning of, I'm starting with the second question. The positioning and the roles of local NGOs and local initiatives, as well as universities, because universities are part of, in my view, it's a part of course, they have some kind of public responsibilities, but we have also the responsibilities related to peace and security issues, because we should be regarded as NGOs as well, because we are trying to provide knowledge for the service and for the benefit of societies. Therefore, universities are and research institutions are important in supporting city diplomacy, because I mean, we also represent local interests and local views. Therefore, local views and local values, for example, when I said local values we carry on in our institution, for example. These Islamic universities, mashallah, I visited several of Islamic universities with my distinguished and very good friend of mine, Professor Ismail, and therefore, what I have experienced, what I have noticed, that these institutions, they struggle to provide some knowledge for the benefit of institutions, which is outstanding. If you go some other parts of the world, because I mean, I completed my MA and PhD studies in England, and living after staying about 8 years in Exeter University, I noticed that the questions and the issues, and also I served international office coordinator for about 10-12 years in my previous university. I've seen all the European universities, nearly all the countries and many European universities. I noticed that the problem solving and the really touching on the issues, real issues of human beings are exercised in Indonesia, for example, in the University of Indonesia, in the University of Malaysia, for example, other parts of the world. So because representing local values and representing because as I noticed, many colleagues of mine in Indonesia, they feel responsible, a very great responsibility to provide solutions. Therefore, city diplomacy is a part of this responsibility. Secondly, moving on to your second question about the conflict prevention between
since that we see how His Excellency Nejmetin Erbakan, one of a friend of His Excellency Habibie, both the presidents when Erbakan went out to Turkey and he was a president, and the same times Habibie went out to Indonesia and he was the president of Indonesia. So it might be that we can have the city diplomacy if we namely sister city between Konya and Parepare. Konya is the home of Erbakan and Parepare is the home of Habibie. So what do you what is your answer about this kind of initiative or city diplomacy as the sister city? Time is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's quite a productive question. It's quite a practical question. Thank you very much, first of all, for this question, because there is a need to bring cities together. For example, in Konya, the city of Nejmetin Erbakan, I am also advising to the mayor of Konya Metropolitan Municipality. He's a friend of mine. If there is any kind of opportunity to contact the local government at Parepare, I will be glad to take this initiative to the mayor of Konya, because I mean, the twinning and the sister city applications are quite important, because it can provide a kind of a vehicle to carry messages and unite local communities together. As you mentioned, I mean, the establishment of B8, for example, by Necmettin Erbakan and of course Habibi in 1997 or 1996, it was a kind of initiative to deal with these kind of issues. But as you said, as you mentioned, twinning and the sister city applications are quite adaptive, quite successful processes. I would be more than happy to talk to the mayor of Konya municipality. If you have any kind of contact with the mayor of city of Parepare, I will be glad to bring these two cities together, at least to give a message, to raise a message to the people of Indonesia and to the people of Turkey that I mean, these kind of friendships are productive, are potential ways of coming together, hand by hand, coming together and trying to solve the problems the humanity are facing at the moment. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you, Prof. Onder. I would like to invite you to a bit moment about Parepare City. It is not only the home of the late B.J. Habibie, but it is the home of Darul Da'wah Wal Irsyad. We can see one of the boarding school, not sure how to say in English, but it is a Islamic school for the ladies. We call it Ujung Lare. It is one of the historical boarding school that founded by the late Andre Guruta after moving from Mangkoso to Parepare and then going to Kabalanga. So it is a good initiative in the near future after hopefully the pandemic will go soon, and then we can sit down and have a cup of tea to discuss how to have the city diplomacy, sister city between Parepare and Konya to unite the emotional tie between Erbakan and Habibie. But Parepare, as I already mentioned, not only the home of Habibie one, but another home is Darul Da'wah Wal Irsyad. I would like to thank to Prof. Onder, to Prof. Basic, Prof. Paulo, and Prof. Antonio Jose that already come for our keynotes. I'd like to invite everyone, the link in the chat box, if you like to fill out the presents that we can send you the certificate, electronic certificate for sure, to thanks that you participate for the opening and keynote speaker. Last but not least, I would like to thanks to the chairman of STAI DDI Kota Makassar and the rector of IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo already have us during this opening and keynotes. Hopefully, by the end of the pandemic, we can have the sister university between Indonesia and Turkey. It is in the city of Konya. And I would like to announce that Prof. Onder actually already come to Kendari, already come to Jogja. He now bit a little about Indonesia and how big is Indonesia is. Thank you, Prof. Onder. Thank you, everyone. And let us close this keynote sessions, and then tomorrow we will have another keynote session start on 9:30. The class will be open on 9, and then another one will be 9:30, will start until 12 with four keynotes, namely Dr. Sudirman Nasir from Universitas Hasanuddin Indonesia. Another one will be Professor Dr. Rukmina Gonibala from IAIN Manado. Another one, Dr. Samsuri Muhammad Saad from University Technical Malaysia Melaka. And the last one, Dr. Sudirman from IAIN Sorong. I'd like to thank everyone to make this keynote and opening ceremony happen. Everyone already contribute to the ICSHAIS International Conference on Social and Humanities Approach to Islamic Studies that held in collaboration between STAI DDI Kota Makassar and IAIN Sultan Amai Gorontalo. Thank you, everyone. I do apologize during to moderate the discussion and opening. If you find any kind of mistakes, errors that happen during these 2 hours. Let us recite Hamdalah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin, to close this opening session and keynotes. And thank you, everyone. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good night, everyone, and you can start your time.